Right, so I'm making this video because it's now been a couple of years since I started to make serious efforts to adjust my relationship with this thing. And so far those attempts have been pathetic, and it's almost gotten to the point where I think it might just be impossible to undo all the harm that has been done to us by the technologies that we were surrounded with since we were quite little. And just in case there is someone watching who isn't quite sure what I'm talking about, I'm referring to this subconscious habit that we've all developed to just whip out our phones whenever our brains realize that there will be nothing exciting happening for like the next 5 seconds. And you might not even know that you're doing it, but your hand just reaches for the phone automatically. And you might be saying, well, what's the problem with that? Which I don't think you're actually saying that. But just for the sake of the argument, the main issue is that we have essentially fixed boredom. We have found the perfect antidote. Whenever there is nothing happening, you just reach for the phone and all of a sudden you are entertained. Or at least you are under the illusion that you're entertained. There was a study done a couple of years ago in which they put a bunch of people by themselves in a completely empty room with nothing to do there, but there was a button which, if they pressed, it would give them a tiny electric shock. And it turns out that it's actually easier for people to give themselves electric shocks repeatedly than to just sit in silence and think about whatever. And I think that's actually quite crucial to realize, because we're not really addicted to Instagram or Twitter or anything like that. We're addicted to the dopamine that we know it will give us. And just a quick point to prove that, when I first realized that this is a problem for me and I should do something about it, the first thing that I've done is I removed Instagram and Twitter out of the homepage. And I thought that, that would make it harder for me to just open it without even knowing that I'm doing it. And it will sort of fix itself that way. But then I just developed a new habit of either searching for the app or just going to the all apps section on your phone and opening it from there. So really I've only just kind of added an extra layer to the process. So then the next thing that I've tried was to actually delete the apps from my phone, which only really led to me now accessing Instagram through my Safari, like a 70-year-old. And yeah, maybe I use it slightly less, but it's not a significant difference really. I have actually had the courage to delete my Twitter account, but now I check the news frantically, like 30 times a day. Yeah, checking the news sounds a bit more glamorous than checking Twitter, but it's the same thing basically. Something that I found out as I've been trying to learn a little bit about this is that the levels of dopamine are actually the highest just before you open the app, just before you see if there is like anything new going on. Not when you find out that there actually is something exciting happening there, which is never the case. But the thing that your brain is addicted to is that moment of, will there be something there? Will there be something there? Will something interesting be there? There won't. And since I've known that, it actually helped me, when I'm about to open the app and I think to myself, like, do you actually care about what's on there, or do you just feel the need to know if there is something there? I've actually heard it explained in the context of a lottery. You're not the most excited when you found out that you won. You're the most excited when you're about to find out if you won or not. And with, social media and all these time-wasting apps, it's the same thing. Our brains are not the happiest once we found out that there is something fun going on there, which there never is. But we're programmed to seek this anticipation of like, well, there might be. And I think that that's an absolutely key thing to realize to even be able to embark on this journey, that it's not actually about the phone, it's not about the Instagram, it's not about the Twitter. It's about you not being able to be left alone with your own thoughts for 15 seconds at a time. That's what you're scared of. It's not that you love Instagram so much that you cannot go without it for 5 minutes. It's that you hate the idea of just being kind of bored maybe, just thinking about stuff. You're basically incapable of doing that, and that's not your fault. We've been fed all this high dopamine stuff at an age where our brains are still not yet fully formed. It is hard for us to say no to these things, but the truth is we have to do something about it. And the number one thing is to embrace the fact that you can be a little bit bored every now and then. I actually think that some of my best ideas I've ever had and some of the best decisions that I've made came from a moment of silence, of peace, of boredom, dare I say. But I don't have many of these moments because I purposefully keep myself away from them. So I know that this might sound a little weird, but really one of the best things that you can do for yourself is to find ways to actually introduce boredom to your life by design. And that will do far more than deleting Instagram, because Instagram was never the problem. It is a problem, but not the problem, and it's not the solution. A solid place to start would be to adjust your eating habits. If you're a fellow 20-something, you probably check your phone while you're eating, or you're on your laptop, or you're watching a movie or something, and maybe you don't have to. It essentially makes it twice as exciting, you know? You have a good meal, hopefully, and you watch something entertaining, so your brain is overwhelmed with joy, in theory. But that's actually a perfect opportunity for you to either talk to the person that you're eating with, or maybe just eat. I mean, that's already fun enough, so just eat. I actually wanted to list more suggestions, but I don't want to pretend that I can solve the problem for you. I think if what I've said so far makes sense to you, then you can probably figure out the rest. It would be disingenuous of me to sit here and, tell you exact steps to fix this, because I haven't done that yet myself. But I think I have gained some clarity on what the true objective is, and it isn't to cut off Instagram, it's to learn to be with myself. It's to be able to fill those moments of silence with my own thoughts, because I think that's how you grow as a person.